Julie? You're muted.
Hi. I'm on my phone. I couldn't get the computer to work.
Oh, I can see you. Oh, you're on your phone. Okay.
Yeah. Except I hit something. Oh, there it is. Hold on. What are you doing?
Joe, myself. Do we have everybody or we're missing somebody? Birthday boy, he's not on yet. Maybe he's not joining.
I don't see Joe. Oh, yes, I do see Joe. My bad.
I don't know if Rob was joining us or not, but time is it? You got a minute yet, so. I got a different pen this time, so there's no clicker. That was for Jim Ellis.
I told my mom about that, Rodney. She got a good laugh. She has a hang up on people who click pens and crack their knuckles. Not near my mom, Bruce. You don't want to do that near my mom.
Yeah. Okay, I'm not sure if Rob's joined us or not, but I think I've got 4 o'clock, so I'll call this special meeting of the Board of Education to order, and we'll bypass the pledge again just for easy access anyways. And I'll ask for a motion to approve the Board of Education minutes dated 5/11.
I'll make it.
Julie?
Yep.
Have a second? Beth? Any discussion or questions on it? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Perfect. Pass 5-0. Moving on to item 3, finance information and the warrant 44. Does anybody have any questions on it? If not, we'll move on to item 4. Yeah, we'll move on to item 4, items for board discussion and or adoption. It's the approval of the adopted proposed ACS 2021 budget and the property tax report card. Before we take a vote and motion on it, is any other discussion, or Ryan, did you want to, or Kristen want to speak on it? We've all had this information last week. It's just the numbers are on the card now. And
Yeah, if you don't mind, Rodney, I'll take a second and just present that slide in the middle where we finalize the numbers, if that's okay.
Yep.
As everybody sees it. Takes me just a second to end the duplication of the screen. All right. All right, so hopefully everyone is seeing the budget recommendation. Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah. So a great deal of the information is the same as we went over last week. We do have a community member observing tonight, so I'll try to go quickly through the presentation so as to not waste time. As part of the strategic plan, we want to proactively maintain facilities. Our spending should be guided by our mission and vision, and we want to maintain the long-term financial health of the district. In terms of the budget values and good practices that we talked about, we want to respond to need. We're going to align our goals and our resources. We're going to stay focused on student learning. We're going to try to be forward thinking as best we can, even in these tough times. And we want to value the community support and input, whether it's input suggestions or just understanding the support that they give us and having that on our radar as we make the budget for this year. So last week when we spoke, some of this was unsettled because at the time we were waiting for the information from the executive cost containment in terms of why would we not want to get a look at one of those 3 windows where the state is going to give us some feedback in terms of what's going to happen with state aid. Unfortunately, the original number communicated to us, the original date communicated to us May the 4th. That day came and went, and then they said we're going to get the information on the 15th, and that day came and went. And so as of the 15th, the latest date we were told is we'll know the information by the 20th. So unfortunately, the reason we waited before adopting a max spending amount was to get that information, and the state is not going to be able to produce it. So at this point, when we had a conversation, we feel it's best to move forward with the max spending cap, because that's ultimately what is being approved is the max spending limit. And then what we don't have is a full snapshot of what the revenues will look like coming into that budget. So we have to make a couple of calculated assumptions. So based on what our allowable tax levy limit was, that's 3.79%. So the tax cap formula goes into play. That's a variety of combinations and a complicated formula that allows the community and the school to take a look at what would the allowable levy be based on the financial circumstances of the district. Our allowable levy this year would go to 3.79. However, we also know that there's a crisis going on, a healthcare crisis and an economic crisis. So we were hoping to get a look at the final state aid here. This number is different than what you had last week by about $150,000. And the reason that it's different is that Kristen and I need to make a educated guess as to how much money we're going to lose in the state aid. So remember, they promised us a certain amount of state aid this year, and then they're looking at those windows to determine whether or not they can actually fund that full amount. With revenues being down 14% in the first window, we think it's very likely we're not going to receive the full amount. So we made an adjustment of state aid by about $150,000 we assume that we're not going to get. So then we talked about creative access to some of the reserves, existing reserves, using the full fund balance appropriation of $280,000, and a tax levy of 1.98% would get us to a balanced budget if we were to spend no more than $20,756,651. So I just wanted to make sure, I want to pause here for a second and allow for some chance for some questions, because this is what we were waiting for, a little bit more clarity. Unfortunately, that clarity didn't come. So we had to make some calculated assumptions based on the feedback that we had from you, the Board of Education, and what we think is going to happen with the state aid numbers. So we're anticipating lower state aid, but we think that we can comfortably go out with a 1.98% tax levy, which would honor the community's input in terms of what they want us to move forward. We're recognizing the challenge that they're all under, but at the same time, being reasonable about the challenges that we face and will continue to face. So I just want to pause for a second and allow for any questions that the board might have.
Anybody got any questions? So Ryan, why don't you tell them what would happen, or Kristen, what happens if they don't deduct anything and they give us the full amount of state aid? But our numbers still stay the same, obviously, but that's just going to go into fund balance then? Yep, I got a thumbs up from Kristen. So
Yes.
Does any board members have any questions?
No.
Okay, I don't believe they have any.
Okay,
Kristen?
then I'll just go ahead and finish the presentation briefly. A couple of highlights: that the Ed Law 2D, some efficiencies in the RFP process, expanded career education. We're addressing lifeguard minimum wage connecting resources and initiatives. And we're also, as part of the budget, we're taking a look at some of our carryover from the entitlement grants to fund some ongoing supports. For instance, the intern for psychology will be funded from one of the grants, as well as access to a social worker at the high school that we started this year in lieu of the Casa Trinity contract. 5 propositions in all. The overall budget, the approval for the capital purchase of the bus, vehicle and equipment purchase. That's part of the board's long practice of strong financial planning, looking at what could be expensive replacement, such as replacement items from equipment such as vehicles and furniture, and having a reserve set aside for that, so that some of the challenges and the ebbs and flows of the economy can be smoothed by having access to this reserve. So we need voter approval for access to that reserve. And then we're looking to establish a capital reserve for technology purchase, knowing that most of the funds for the devices that we've been able to use during this continuity of learning plan came from the Smart Schools Bond Act. We're looking to establish a reserve that would allow us to set aside additional funds to help do some long-term planning for technology replacement. So we're not approving any new money with this request for a capital technology reserve. Instead, it's just the creation of the account, and then it'll be funded through transfers through other existing reserves at this particular time. The last proposition is on behalf of the Avon Free Library. It's an increase of to levy a tax of an increase of $9,000, bringing the total to the Avon Free Library of $110,000. This is a hard one to explain. They access our budget and election voting process in order to engage in a vote about levying an additional tax to benefit the library. So this is really for the library. It's not a school issue. It's just something that's done via our voting process. The next steps, well, they were to look at the cost containment numbers, but those dates came and went. We were going to actually examine the impact of that cost containment. We weren't able to do that, so we are in a position to apply some conservative logic that I talked about with the adjustment to adjusting an anticipated level of state aid that's not going to come our way. We're going to finalize the budget tonight, hopefully, adopt the budget, and then we will start sending the cards and newsletters and ballots. We'll begin mailing those mailings on May 26th. We'll engage in the education phase. I'll do some conversations with the faculty and staff, as well as some community organizations, and the public budget hearing on the 27th at 5 o'clock. The budget vote, as you know, budget and Board of Education election vote will be June the 9th, where the ballots need to be received by the district clerk by 5 o'clock. The other part of the approval listed on the Board of Education is for the property tax report card. You received this board members received this via email today, but here's a glimpse at it. I just did a snip and pasted the image in here. Kristen, is there anything that you would like to highlight on the tax cap report card? Excuse me, property tax report card?
No, I think other than you can just see in the 2021 column that there's towards the bottom where it says 180,880. That's the difference from the tax levy limit and what we're going out at.
Okay.
So we're 180,000 under what the tax levy limit would allow us to go out.
Right.
Correct.
To receive, okay. Are there any questions about the property tax report card?
Doesn't look like it.
Alrighty, then the last part of the election process is for the Board of Education election. There are 2 seats open for 3-year terms. 1 seat is held by Bob. He's running unopposed, but we have to provide a space for a write-in. The other is held by Rodney, running unopposed with a space for a write-in. So hoping for the best and planning for the worst has been what we've tried to do. In the end, I feel really good about the things we're trying to accomplish with our school budget, and appreciate all of the conversations we've had along the way to ensure that we're putting some of those initiatives that we don't want to sacrifice first, and trying to find some creative ways to weather the storm on a 1 or 2 year basis here. So thank you very much for the input that has helped us to create this budget that we feel pretty good about, not only the efficiency of the spending, but what we're trying to accomplish with the spending. So with that, I will take any additional questions that anyone might have.
Yeah, I just make another comment that we're extremely fortunate to have the reserves that we have and the ability to use those reserves. In this case here, we're able to move forward with what we want to do, but still keep the taxpayers in mind when we don't go out with the maximum and still be able to do what we want to do. So it's just good financial planning that this district has done over the last 20 years. Actually, I think we started 20 years ago to get us to where we're at. So other questions? Anybody have any questions or comments, board members?
No.
No. Okay, having none, I guess I will entertain a motion to approve the property tax report card and the proposed budget. Who's that? Julie or Beth?
It was Julie.
Julie and
Jim.
Julie and Jim. Okay. Any further discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pass 5-0. Okay, that actually ends our special meeting, but we have guests, so I'll give our guests an opportunity for any kind of guest recognition. If you have any comments for the board, Mr. Amy, I think you're our guest, and of course, Jim Ellis.
I would just like to say, again, thanks to the board for your leadership in putting forth a responsible budget. I'd like to thank Ryan and all the administrative team and the entire staff for all you've managed and surfed and ridden the waves very, very well over the past 8 weeks, and look forward to the continued leadership and support. I have to give tremendous kudos to whoever put together that video that was on Facebook with all the staff to keep on moving forward there. That was fantastic. An outstanding video. So thank you.
Lee Major was the brains behind that. She did a great job.
It was fantastic.
Yes, it was. Okay. Yeah, no other comments? Item 5 is your future board meetings. 5/27 again is our budget hearing via computer here again. And then we have our regular meeting on 6/8. On 6/9 is the budget vote, which I guess we still have to have a chairperson and so on. We don't know why, but we got to have a chairperson, and we have to have our election officials here. And I believe, Ryan, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I do not believe it's recommended that we can open the ballots prior to the day of the election. At least that's our attorneys. The attorneys in general have stated that we shouldn't do that. So we could have up to 5,000 ballots here that people are going to be opening from noon until whatever. Ryan?
Yeah, unfortunately, we jumped the gun a little bit on the idea that there would be no duplication, so we could open early. And the best recommendations now is that we not jump the gun. We wait until 5 o'clock to start doing the opening and close the vote and then start the count. We were hoping to be able to run them in advance because without any live voting, there's very little chance of a duplicate vote. But unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do that. As long as I have the floor, I do want to just say one thing. I just want to just so people know, I want to thank Bruce. Bruce has reached out a couple of times whenever there's been something sticky and just offered an ear. And someone who sat in this seat and knows the district, it's just nice to know that I can reach out and get some thoughts and input. So appreciate Bruce doing that.
Okay.
My pleasure.
I guess we ought to at least wish Rob a happy birthday. I don't think anybody wants to sing, or maybe Jen does. I'm not sure, but happy 39th there, Rob.
Yep.
Thank you.
I think Bruce can lead us in a song. He's got quite.
He's our song leader.
Did they ever settle that royalty dispute about birthdays? Who owns that song? Who do we need to pay if we sing it?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Rob. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you very much.
That way.
Yep. Rob, you could say that's a bad version, or you could just say we really tried to do it in the round, but
Yeah.
timing was off because of
Hey,
the.
we're Andy at the end of the
Video.
video there. So
That was good.
yeah. Okay, we do need to have an executive session, so we will, I guess, postpone this, or Jim, you'll close this out and we'll come back in to go out, right? So
Jim
Yeah.
will keep it running. We will all close out and go to the executive session. So Jim will keep
Okay.
this portion open, and then we'll go to the executive session and come back when we're done to close. the
okay,
meeting.
Yes.
so all those, I think everyone's coming in except for Bruce, obviously. Okay, I will check you on the other end, I hope.
I'll be here.
Happy birthday, Rob. I haven't seen you today.
Thanks.
I left too early. So I'm going off and I'm
Plans?
Okay.
Let's see. I'm gonna have
I'll
a board
Jim with me.
tonight. I'm not sure. We'll see when I get home.
You know you wanted to be with all of us on your birthday.
Yeah, that's good.
Jim, I think you're still present in the regular board meeting. If you stay in this one, I can hear, and we're recording the executive session.
Someone want to give me a motion to go into?
Oh, everyone. Oh, perfect. Okay.
Hey, Jim.
Geez, am I the last one every time? No, we're waiting for Bob.
And Julie. There she is.
Yep. Wait, Julie, there's Julie. Okay, I think we're all here, so I will declare us out of executive session. And I did not do roundtable, so I'll quickly go around the table. Anybody's got anything, Julie?
No, not now. Thank you.
Well, we'll congratulate Julie on her daughter graduating from St. Bonaventure. So
Thank you.
I'm not sure if everyone's seen that or not, but congratulations to Mary.
Thank you very much.
Beth?
I'm good.
Anything?
Thank you.
Jim?
I'm good. All set.
Bob? Anybody else got anything for the good of the meeting? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that.
Beth, a second?
Second.
Jim? All those in favor say aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed
No.
5-0.
Yeah.
We will see everyone here next Wednesday.
Okay.
Next Wednesday is our budget hearing.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Good night,
Meeting. So,
Jim, this time I'll exit out of the meeting.
well, I don't know.
I didn't realize when we went to executive, I hear you talk, and I'm like, why am I hearing Jim? Because I had both meetings still up.
Oh,
so.
yeah.
You had me worried there for a little second because I was getting a recording of the start of the executive session. But you popped out in time.
Yeah, I'm glad I heard it. And I quick hit the X. I just was going too fast, I guess.
Totally understood.
Have a good
All right.
night.